Hello, it's me again. Same shirt, Lane, a Nebraska Barefoot Guy. One of my favorite shirts. One of these days I'm going to have to show you all my Christian shirts and my barefoot shirts. Of course, I'm very interested in both. I just wanted to kind of tell you something. One of my gripes I have with Christian churches. And it's like, oh, I'm a Christian. I should never say anything negative about a Christian church. So call it an observation, maybe. But you can have a church that has checked all the boxes. You know, they're a solid church. They're a Bible teaching church. They submit to the authority of the Bible. You know, the elders, the pastor, all the elements are in place, you know. But what I find out is there's just one thing that is a basic one that should be in every church that they kind of avoid. And that's Matthew 28, which is really talking about evangelism or sharing the gospel with other people. Now, they could say, well, we do that within the walls of the church. But there's very few churches that have a program where they train those congregants to make it easier for them in sharing the gospel message. You look at somebody like Ray Comfort, Voddie Baucham. There's a bunch of people out there. Anyways, you get into evangelism. They do a great job of teaching how to get a conversation how to get a conversation started, and how to bring Christ into it in a way that makes sense to somebody that's not been in church for years and years and years. But my gripe is that churches will avoid bringing that up with their congregants because I think it's because they don't want their congregants to feel guilty, one. Two, they don't want to lose any. They don't want to lose anybody. And we have, as a society, especially here lately, a fear of talking to other people. I had it too at one point. So if they start implying how the congregants are responsible to Christ for doing this, which they are, each and every one of it. It's not just for somebody that's got the special talent. It's for each and every one to do. They're afraid they're going to lose congregants. They're going to lose money. And so what they do is they just kind of avoid it. They just kind of avoid that subject. They might mention it here or there once in a while within a sermon, but there's no, pointing fingers at anyone, if you will. Are you doing this, And not to say they should hold your feet to the fire, but to say, how can we help you succeed in getting the gospel message to other people? So, I've been, since I got saved in like 2009, and I've been to 4 churches. And I would say that, out of those 4 churches, and you got to be a good Berean searching out a good church to make sure they're solid. But the last church I went to was a pretty decent church, except for this issue. And basically the pastor wasn't really into evangelism. You could tell it just really wasn't his thing. And I talked to an elder once. I said, hey, why don't we go out and do some door-to-door evangelism? And he basically just told me, no way, that's never going to happen. And that's from a church elder. So that's pretty sad. And when I brought that up, I never got any answers for that. But I did find a solid church that has an evangelism program. And so that not only in training, but they have several outreaches. One is the door-to-door part, which I've participated in. Some's meeting at a courthouse, and sometimes it's meeting at a park, where they give out water and talk to people about Christ. So there's things that could be done to get the word out about the Lord and Savior. But and talking about the barefoot thing, I'm a barefoot guy. This church I'm going to now, Indian Hills Community Church, I wrote them ahead of time to make sure it was cool that I could be in there barefoot because it's about my health and well-being. It wasn't anything else. And Jesse, the pastor there, Randolph, he was saying that it's not about whether or not you're wearing shoes or anything else. He goes, if you have a heart for Christ or you're seeking Christ, you're welcome in our church. So that's what I like about Indian Hills Church in Lincoln, Nebraska. But anyways, so we're going door to door and talking to people. It's low key. How are you doing? We're here just to share with you that we have a church, over here, and we'd love to have you come visit us sometimes. And where are you with God? And if they were willing to answer us and give us some time, and then we talked to them about the gospel message. But I also happened to be barefoot, and I was kind of, the first time I went to do this with this group, I was kind of concerned that they would kind of dog me out for being barefoot. Not even the case. They were really cool about it. And so I'm in a really nice neighborhood too, high dollar, and we're going door to door, knocking on doors. Of course, not everybody's home, but one of the doors I knocked on, a lady came to it, probably 25, somewhere in between 25 and 28 years old, a couple of little kids. And so I love that because I love kids. And so we had a nice little chat at the door, and she was very welcoming. But while that was going on, her husband came home, and he was, I think he was a male nurse, and he still had his smock on and stuff, And he was a great guy, and they belonged to a church. And I usually ask, if you say you're a Christian, man, this needs to be another video. Yeah, that'll be another video. So anyways, and so we got done, and we were leaving, and the guy hollered at me, and he's like, that is so cool that you're barefoot. He goes, because with grounding and how it's better for your health and all this other stuff. So he was telling me how great it was that I was barefoot. Well, when we go door to door, we're doing it in sets of 2. It's a good idea for safety too, but we were doing it in sets of 2. So the other guy that was with me not only heard it from me that it was better for you, but now he heard it from somebody I didn't even know, basically saying the same thing. So I just thought that was really cool. But anyways, getting back to the main point, my main gripe with Christian churches is they really don't promote and are actively doing evangelism and teaching their people how to get over their fears and to do evangelism. So I guess that's my main gripe. But we're still growing, so hopefully they'll come around sooner or later. Anyways, I'm Lane, a Nebraska Barefoot Guy. Have a great day. Bye.